Hey y'all. So today in Pussy Church, we are going to be spring cleaning, which is a mental and emotional exercise or technique to help clean out your mental and emotional bodies um, of energetic and emotional charge and residue that is getting in the way of calling in the desires and manifestations that you're trying to bring into your life to live your best life, right? Um, So spring cleaning always follows a script, and I with these videos I will always start with a demonstration, so that way you know how to do it by yourself, and then I will always follow through with 3 minutes and three pulls for you to spring clean as well, in a safe and sacred space where you don't have to worry about being judged or saying the wrong thing or doing it wrong or anything like that. Spring cleaning works through having someone witness you, whether it's a human or whether it's a higher power. There's always someone witnessing you. And in this, you are being witnessed as you actualize, which when you actualize, you're giving motion to that which has gotten stuck within your energy field, which science defines emotions as energy in motion, right? And so we have a lot of repressed and suppressed and stuffed emotions and energetics in our field. So when you give motion to it through using that throat chakra and talking and actualizing with someone witnessing you, whether it be me in this container or a higher power or another human being, it puts those energetics and emotions back in motion, which then clears things out and makes way for you to draw in that which you are calling in from your heart space that is aligned with your highest and best, with your desires and manifestations. And spring cleaning, if you ever spring clean with another person, whatever happens in the spring clean stays in the spring clean. So the person holding space, in this case, it would be me, they would witness your spring clean, and then after the spring clean, just like a real garbage man, like they don't bring your garbage back to you, they take it, it's gone. And whenever you're holding space, it's not like you're absorbing or picking up anything, it's simply holding space. And so once the container closes, the space closes, like it's not on you, it's not with them, it's just done. And a lot of the topics that I've chosen on my channel are topics that are layered and multifaceted and deep, so that way you can really have safe spaces to go into with shadow work if you're working with some of like the heavier energies in the collective, or if you're in your shadow work and you're working with some of the more generalized energies in shadow work, like the inner child, self-love. Either way, you can show up and look at the Pussy Church playlist and see what spring cleans catch your eye and go ahead and um, jump into the spring cleaning container. And I advise that you watch the videos as many times as you need. All of these topics, including the one we're doing today, which is going to be inner child. All of these topics are layered. There's a lot to uncover here. There's a lot to clean up here. And in a spring clean, it's really important to get out all the nitty gritties. There's always a positive and a negative charge to like a battery. And so like when you're spring cleaning, it's really important to like not skirt around or beat around the bush around feelings. For some people, it might be new for them to even talk about feelings, and it might be easier for them to just be like talking about body sensations. For example, if I'm like, thank you, what do you have on your inner child? And you're like, oh, my heart hurts. Thank you, what do you have on your inner child? My left arm feels really heavy and my elbow is tingly. Thank you, what do you have on your inner child? I feel a pit in my stomach. That's completely okay if like you're not super familiar with identifying your emotions to move them out, or even comfortable identifying them and moving them out. I find that a lot of people have a fear of actualizing because they think that it's going to get in the way of them manifesting. And honestly, it's not actualizing that gets in the way of manifesting and bringing in things at a pace that is more enjoyable than um, had you decided to not actualize. And so in the spring clean, it's really important also to, if you're good on body sensations, but you want to label emotions, look at those shadow aspects that you're working with. Like maybe you really hate how loud someone is and you feel guilty for saying the word hate, like, or maybe there's guilt there, right? Maybe In this case, we're doing inner child. So maybe you're de-pedestaling a parent or something in like your self-healing journey, and you feel guilty saying things about your parent that make them seem less than the pedestal that they were on, if that makes sense. And that's okay to feel guilty. This is the place to acknowledge guilt. This is the place to express hatred. This is the place to express like um, shame. This is the place to get out resentment. This is the place to get out frustration, because we as humans were born with a full range of emotions. And so when it comes to calling in our desires, yes, we gotta feel like we're in it, but like in feeling like we're in it, it's easier to feel like we're in it if we actually move out that which we have not expressed or felt. So that way, more of our focus and attention and energy can go into feeling like we're in what we're calling in. Um, so yeah, don't beat around the bush. Just say what you gotta say. That said, whoever you're spring cleaning with, it's really important that they don't do facial expressions, because some people are not at the part in their journey where they're aware of like their attachment styles and their hypervigilance, which means just like being really attentive to their surroundings and their environment. It's a trauma response. Um, and so they might read your smile that you see as reassuring as like you smirking at them, which is not your intention, but they don't know that, and their subconscious doesn't know that, and they might not feel safe, and they'll close up on the spring clean. Or like you might chuckle at something that is very serious to them, and you don't realize it's serious to them because maybe they're not used to expressing their emotions, so they do it in a very like euphemic, detached, dissociated way, and then now the container is compromised. So just try to keep a poker face for as much as you can, and remember everything's confidential. It stays in the container. I might sneeze. uh and Spring cleaning's layered, so a lot of the topics that I've chosen for my channel are like topics we can like revisit over and over. Like I'm 34 and I've had an inner child for 34 years, right? So I mean, I can spring clean on inner child quite a bit, which in this day and age, like I find that it's so important to take care of your inner child, because really, if we look at what's going on in the world, it's a bunch of untended to, angry, upset, hurt, grieving, heartbroken inner children that are running our world, running our politics, running our school systems, running our society, running our homes. And like this world needs more love and more attentiveness to self and heart and matters of the heart. And then spring cleaning on the inner child, you're making way for that. And then in that, you can make way for some more heart oriented desires to come online, which then helps bring in more harmony and balance to the world around us. And this world needs less judgment and more empathy. And so it begins within. And so if you go into the spring clean container and just, in this case with the inner child, hear your inner child as they are spring cleaning and telling you what they have, and don't try to fix it, and don't try to change it, and don't judge them, don't shame them, don't be ashamed of yourself. If you are ashamed, then say I have shame. If you are shocked, be like I have shock. Like just say it for what it is. There's no need to like dissect it. This is just to get things out and flowing in a more loving and harmonious way. um let's see, sometimes the subconscious is not used to engaging in this way. It's not used to having you ask what's going on, so you might find that it draws a blank. It'll be like I have nothing. Okay, thank you. What do you have on the inner child? I have nothing. Thank you. What do you have on the inner child? I have a fear of saying the wrong thing. Thank you. What do you have on the inner child? I have a fear of standing out and gaining um, attention that doesn't feel good. Thank you. Like usually after you do a couple I have nothings, the next layer reveals itself. If you find you're getting stuck though and you keep saying I have nothing, ask yourself like, what was the last thing I said? And maybe be like, okay, like I have a fear of being seen. Why do I have a fear of being seen? And usually if you ask a question and engage with curiosity, the mind will be like, oh yeah, I got an answer for that, and it'll answer, and you can just have it spring cleaned out. And then each time you say something, it's like it's just being vacuumed out of your energy field through being in a space of being witnessed. And then sometimes you might find things are very layered because had these topics, these subjects, these in this case, these archetypes in our life for a long time. And so you might have like, thank you, what do you have on your inner child? I have fear. Thank you, what do you have on your inner child? I have fear. Thank you, what do you have on your inner child? I have fear. Thank you, what do you have on your inner child? I have fear of being abandoned. So usually if you do it a few sweeps, then you get to that next layer of like, well, what is the fear? Or it might just completely change to like another emotion. Just stick with it and trust the wisdom of your mind body connection as you go into the clean. I find that spring cleans work best anywhere from 3 minutes to about 7 minutes. Um, Mama Gena teaches in the School of Womanly Arts not to go over 15 minutes, if I remember correctly, because then you kind of get stuck in like a thought cycle, which just defies the point of spring cleaning. And you will go into the spring clean, get out all the nitty gritties, and then at the end, when the timer goes off, and once you get through your pulls, which the pulls are just, you'll understand when you see the demonstration, they're just symbolizing to your mind, like, oh, the timer's off, I have this many more chances to get it out. Once you get through that, you'll close with the Trinity, and the point being of the Trinity, like Mama Gena teaches, that so many women are taught to relate through victimization instead of celebration. So the Trinity is closing with a brag. I brag, I celebrate. So breaking out of the patriarchy and celebrating something that is a win for you. And then I am grateful for. And then I desire. Like, what do you desire? Like, so many of us are taught not to have desires, especially as children, especially as little girls. And for those of y'all that are watching that have an inner child that was a little boy, now you are a woman, um, still applicable because your inner child was taught not to like want for things, right? Because mom and dad had their own things going on. So, anyways, like the desire, the point being like to connect with what do you really desire? What does your inner child desire? And then to speak it into existence and have it witnessed in this container through like myself as witness and higher power as witness. And then like physics teaches, it's like through witnessing a photon is where matter is made, right? So through witnessing the photon of the sound of like the desire being spoken, then it makes its way into matter. And the more spring cleans you do around the topic that you're trying to manifest stuff in, the easier it is for things to manifest for you. So I think that's everything. If I think of anything in the clean, oh, sometimes you might have, especially with the inner child, sometimes you might have really deep seated emotions as you actualize and acknowledge something that make you feel really heavy with grief or really angry. And so that's totally normal because that means the emotions are expressing and moving now, right? And sometimes you might want to move it out of your body, which I highly recommend swamping, which is a dance embodiment practice. I will include a link at the end of the video that you can click on if you do feel very emotional, so you can watch how to swamp and then swamp. And sometimes the emotion just goes really quickly. In science, they have said that an emotion actually lasts about 90 seconds when it's expressing in its healthy range. Sometimes we have like a backlog of emotions. So maybe like 90 seconds of grief turns into like weeks and days and months of grief because you haven't allowed yourself to grieve your whole life, right? But just know that eventually things will ebb and flow and let go and settle down. I think that's everything I got. So I'm gonna go ahead and get comfy and then I will start the demonstration. Oh, and since it's a practice that has to do with like your subconscious, it's important to just like make sure you're in a space where like you're not going to see the back of my bun. You're not going to be interrupted, and yeah, like that way, because it really is like triggering when people interrupt your spring clean because it's such a mental exercise. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get my timer. Okay. Guide you through me demonstrating. So I have my timer ready. I have it for 3 minutes. So I'm not going to start it until I get to the first part of the script. Sister Goddess Puppy, are you ready to begin your spring clean on your inner child for a total of 3 minutes and 3 pulls? Yes. Thank you. Starting timer. What do you have on your inner child? I have a desire to fit in. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I have a desire to fit in. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I don't understand why I wasn't enough. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I have sadness that my biological mom left me at a young age. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I hate that I still have all this sadness all these years later about my biological mom leaving me at a young age. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I hate how my biological mom has her own wounded inner child and it causes her to lash out at me through psychological manipulation, trying to paint me as a crazy person because she doesn't want to deal with her own stuff. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? It makes me really sad, the relationship I have with my biological mother and my biological father. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? My parents were young when they created me, and I received their epigenetics of guilt and shame. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I was unwanted. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? My bio mom can tell me she wanted me all she wants, but the way my inner child felt was unwanted and unlovable. Deep wave of grief coming through me right now. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I hate feeling vulnerable for fear of having my heart exploited. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I hate allowing myself to love people as soul family, knowing they could just as easily abandon me as my real family. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I have bitterness. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I have resentment. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I have self-hatred. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? I have been wounded so badly by my family that I am in this space of unlearning narcissistic tendencies that I picked up in my conditioning being around very wounded people. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? My inner child hates that we've had to do work around healing wounds from narcissistic abuse because it makes her feel like she is a monster and monsters are unlovable. Thank you. So I don't know if you heard it, but the timer went off. Also, I'm having like another wave of grief, so I'm probably gonna swamp after this. Thank you. This is your first of 3 pulls. What do you have on your inner child? My inner child is very creative and talented at writing, yet there's something blocking her and myself and preventing us from having the motivation and ability to commit to writing our children's book and poetry books that are ideas waiting to be made manifest. Thank you. This is your second of 3 pulls. What do you have on your inner child? My inner child is very precious to me, and I don't share her lightly with anyone, and I'm highly protective of her at this point in my journey. Thank you. This is your third and final pull. What do you have on your inner child? I feel guilty that I left my inner child unattended for as long as I did, just because I didn't really know about her, and it kind of feels like I'm sometimes paying atonement for my inner child. Thank you. This concludes your spring clean on your inner child. It has been an honor and a pleasure holding space for you. Would you like to close with a Trinity? Yes. I brag that I've developed a very healthy relationship with my inner child. I brag that in the midst of my name change, that I really spent a lot of time in meditation creating comfort for the inner child and the inner teen with my inner parent energies as well as with Mother Earth's energies. And I brag that I made the shift very painless and easy to do and to go into. And I'm grateful for my inner child trusting me as I changed names. And I'm grateful for my soul and the beauty and wisdom of my soul guiding me to the intuitive practices that I went into to ensure my inner child felt safe as we shifted from the name our mother gave us to the name that I chose for my inner child and I. And I desire that I face my fears and go through with writing my children's book series. And I desire that one of the obstacles that has been holding me back is not nearly as scary as I have been making it out to be in the mind of my inner child. And I desire that writing our children's book series is very healing for my inner child and I, and that the children's book series is very healing for the inner children of the parents reading the stories to their child. So well bragged, beautiful gratitude, and so it shall be, or something even better and wetter than my wildest dreams. That was a deep one. Yeah, so that is a spring clean on the inner child. When I do that, and so it shall be, this is supposed to be like little pussy sparkles of light, like just blessing the desire, because like creatrix energy, goddess energy, birthing, right? It's like just sparkles. And so, yeah. And yeah, these deeper ones, they will have you be a bit introspective sometimes, and it is good to practice self-care afterwards. Since this is inner child work as well, it's probably a good idea to follow through with some type of activity that you and your inner child can enjoy together. Maybe it's coloring in a book together, taking a bubble bath together. Maybe it's pleasure researching and buying a drink you normally wouldn't buy yourself so your inner child can enjoy it. Maybe it's taking your inner child out for an ice cream date. Maybe it's just taking a nap with your inner child. And then also, yeah, if you do feel a lot of emotions moving like I'm feeling right now, definitely do the swamping video that I'll attach at the end, which swamping is basically a dance embodiment practice that helps the body physically metabolize and move out those emotions that the spring clean has sucked out. Then the body gets to do its part in moving it out because there's like that whole mind body connection, right? So yeah, now let's go into your spring clean with the inner child. So I'm going to start the timer. It's also going to be 3 minutes and 3 pulls. And then if you need like a little bit longer to answer, just pause the video. Make sure when you're answering though that you don't go into a huge story. Try to make it like bite-sized, right? Like instead of like telling a story of how you were bullied all throughout elementary school, maybe tell the story of like an incident where you were bullied and break that incident down into like bite-sized sentences. It's kind of like you're doing a psychic surgery in a sense. So you want your like cuts, your sweeps, your clean as like concise as possible. So that way there's not as much like guck and muck left to go back and spring clean on, if that makes sense. All right. Sister Goddess, are you ready to begin your spring clean on your inner child for a total of 3 minutes and 3 pulls? Am I here to say yes? Starting timer. Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. Sure if you could hear it, but the alarm went off. This is your first of three pulls. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. This is your second pull. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. This is your third and final pull. What do you have on your inner child? Thank you. This concludes your spring clean on your inner child. It has been an honor and a pleasure holding space for you. Would you like to close with a Trinity? I want to hear you say yes. What to brag? What are you celebrating? Yay, well bragged. That's so awesome. And what is your gratitude? Beautiful gratitude. Beautiful. And what do you desire? Try to be as detailed as possible if you can, or maybe you're still like figuring out the details, so just go with what you got. I'm gonna say, I desire And so it shall be, or something even better and wetter than your wildest dreams. Yay! Well done. Congratulations on completing your spring clean on your inner child. I hope this was helpful, and if you'd like to check out other spring cleans on the channel, they are located on the Pussy Church playlist. Make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on further spring cleans that release or any meditations that I might put out. And yeah, let me know in the comments how this was for you, spring cleaning on the inner child, and remember that you can use this as many times as you need since this is a big topic, and just know that you're in a safe space and you're doing it right, and you don't necessarily always have to be witnessed by like someone in your inner circle. You always have the higher power witnessing, and you now have this container to show up in and kind of get a feel for how it feels as you do this kind of work within yourself. I hope you have a great day or evening wherever you may be, and be well. Thank you.